Let's talk about filtration in axolotl aquariums. Because of the huge load of crap your axolotls are going to create, you're going to need to filter your aquarium for at least double or triple the size. This means either getting a powered filter that's rated for double or triple the size of your aquarium, or getting one that is rated for your size of aquarium and then adding a second filter like a sponge filter that's also rated for your size of aquarium. And that's why I recently made a video warning people to not take the low flow suggestion too literally, because you still need more filtration in these aquariums than you're going to need on most aquariums, which could cause some extra current in the tank, but it won't be an issue unless the axolotl literally can't stand still or its gills are flying around like it's in a windstorm. If that's the case, I've got a video on here explaining how to adjust the flow. There's many different aquarium filters you can pick from. Let's start with hang-on backs. Hang-on back filters quite literally just hang off the back of your aquarium. It'll be a little box with a tube that sucks water out of your aquarium into the box where it filters through media, and then it will waterfall back into your aquarium. Because of this waterfall effect, they can be one of the louder options. You can buy 3D printed buffers or DIY your own to add to the lip of your filter to help cushion the water into the tank to quiet it down. Besides the sound, they've been one of the most trusted filters in the aquarium hobby for decades. Specifically AquaClear filters, because it's so easy to customize the media that you use in them as well as to take them apart to clean. There's also internal filters. They work a lot like hang-on back filters, but from inside the tank. I like these a lot because they tend to be a lot quieter considering all the moving parts are underwater, which kind of helps cushion any sounds coming from it. And you can also lower it closer to the water line so that the water's not dropping as far when it comes out of the output area. Unlike with a hang-on back filter that is sitting on the lip of your tank, you will always have to have that tank pretty full, or else that water is going to be falling pretty far and getting pretty loud. And if you can afford it and you have the extra floor space around your tank, canister filters are the best of the best. They're basically just a big watertight bucket stocked full of different aquarium media to filter your tank with. Way more media than you would be able to keep in any other aquarium filter, and the more media you have in there, the better your tank is going to run. They do take up some floor space. They can come with a bit of a hum, and they're more pricey than other options, but they are functionally the best one that you could go with. You also don't need to clean the media in canister filters as often, which is awesome considering all the other options I mentioned. You do have to clean it about once every week to once every month, depending on how long it takes for it to get really gunked up. But this, along with all the other filters I've mentioned, should be taken apart and cleaned out at least once every 6 months to a year just to keep everything running smoothly. This will involve putting all of your dirty filter media into a bucket of tank water to keep your bacteria alive while you give your filter a clean. You're going to take the pump off and take the impeller out of it, give everything a good scrub, put it all back together, put your media back in, and plug it back in. And to partner with any of those filters, I always recommend adding a large size sponge filter as well, no matter how big your tank is. Sponge filters offer more gentle filtration than the other options I mentioned, but they do offer some unique benefits that the others don't, and with their cheap price and the fact that it's not going to add much more current to the water, there's really no reason not to throw one in too. A sponge filter is basically just a sponge hooked up to an air stone, so that air stone creates extra aeration in the tank, promoting healthy gills, and the sponge offers a huge home for beneficial bacteria, which can be an awesome backup in case anything happens to your main filter, like say the power goes out or it breaks and you end up losing all of the bacteria in there. You can use that as your backup colony. Now, for anyone who's new, the reason we want this colony of what we call beneficial bacteria is because that bacteria is what works to convert all of the toxic things that our axolotls are going to be excreting into the water into less toxic substances. An air stone blows air into the middle of the sponge, causing bubbles to come out the top, which creates a vacuum that pulls water and little particles into the sponge. And that's how the sponge collects particles and creates a home for beneficial bacteria. It's the same with all the other filters, but they have an intake that pulls the water in and through all of its sponges and media and then out the top. This beneficial bacteria mostly lives on surfaces in your aquarium rather than in the actual water column, and that's why I mentioned that having a filter with more space in it for media will be better for your aquarium, because more space for media equals more space for your beneficial bacteria to live. For more info on this bacteria and how it's so important for cycling your aquarium, go watch my video on the nitrogen cycle. Now, when I'm talking about media, I'm talking about sponges, finer materials, bioballs, which are basically like little ceramic or plastic balls with holes or slots in them that kind of work like little hotels for that bacteria. All the things that you're going to be filtering your water through. Another popular media option is carbon. This stuff will absorb basically anything in the tank that you don't want in there, any harmful toxins. It can clear up your water. It can clear up any smells you might be dealing with. The only downside is that it needs to be replaced every month or two, otherwise it's just going to be acting as a really bunged up sponge. So despite filter media companies wanting to make it seem like it's a necessity, unless you're trying to remove something from your aquarium, carbon won't be necessary in every single setup. But it's always good to keep a bag or two on hand for emergency situations in case there ever is something you need to get out of there. If you do decide to use carbon, order your media so that it's in the middle. You want the water filtering through a sponge, and then the carbon, and then another sponge. If you're using bio balls, they can also go in the middle, and then you can just top it off with another sponge or a finer material like polyfill as the last stage that the water filters through to catch any little tiny particles that might have been missed. But in general, I literally just stock all of my filters with sponges. If you don't know what size you need, buy them bigger, and then you can just saw them into the right sizes with an X-Acto blade. Nowadays, most aquarium filter companies have figured out that they can sell cartridges, which is basically just a little bit of sponge with some carbon inside of it. But these are gimmicky. They're usually about 1 centimeter thick and need to be replaced every month or two. The problem is, when you replace these cartridges and throw out the old one, you throw out your cycle with it, when most of these filters have the space to add your own sponges into anyways. For example, these cartridges are the ones sold for the Tetra Whisper internal filter that I showed earlier, which is one of my favorite filters, by the way. Every time I get one, I toss that cartridge and I fill the filter up with aquarium sponges all the way up to the brim. Specifically, I stack 3 sponges that are sold for the AquaClear 7D size. They happen to be the perfect size for this filter. Now, there are some filters that won't give you the space to customize what you're putting in them. Specifically, the Fluvo U series of internal filters, there's literally no space in there, so just be aware of that. But yeah, there's an info dump on basically everything you need to know about aquarium filters.